So I have nothing to do right now, and I've realized that I haven't really spoken much, I don't think at all, about Levi having an issue that needed medical attention. I don't even know how to talk about this. So I guess I can start by early June. We were on vacation, so we were out of town. This is what happened. I was in the middle of taking an exam for my classes, and my mom was actually rocking Levi. And so all of a sudden my mom like yells my name, like, Lauren, something is wrong. Something is not right at all. I finally turned around and Levi, my heart just dropped. Levi, we found out later it was a febrile seizure. But yeah, I looked at him and he was so lifeless at this time. His eyes were rolling. He had his pacifier in, so nobody could get that out. My mom didn't know if she should have gotten it out or what. But she thought originally it was because when kids fall asleep, they kind of nudge a little as they're falling asleep, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But hold on, I gotta let the dog outside. Okay, so I go to my Aunt Lynn's cottage and open the door, and my aunt and uncle are sitting there, and I'm like panicking, and they have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, hey, where's Aunt Lynn? Like, we need Aunt Lynn now. Something is not okay with Levi. And I don't think they heard me when I was telling him that he was having a seizure. So they were just so relaxed, and I was like, oh my God, like, you guys aren't panicking. What the hell? So I ran back to see if my Aunt Sue was there. She was gone. And then I ran back to our cottage. And then by that time, Levi's eyes were open. And another lucky situation is our neighbor on the side of us. He used to be, I think he was a firefighter and a paramedic. He was a volunteer for one of them. And I think he still does every once in a while. But they ended up coming over. So I get back. Levi, I'm like breathing super heavy right now, like it's happening again. It's so scary. Levi was not himself. His eyes were open, but he was looking around. Like, his body wasn't moving at all. Like, his body was just lifeless, but his eyes were looking around, like, at all of us, and he had no idea who was who, like anything, and it was so sad. And our neighbor was telling us that there's really nothing you can do. The paramedics are on the way. We stood outside because they were still on the line with Jacob, and they told him, hey, go be outside so they can see you. Well, our cottage is in a very private, it's not a cul-de-sac, but it's in a very private neighborhood. So whenever there's an ambulance, everybody and their grandma come outside. So we take him outside. My mom's still holding him because we didn't want to switch him off to somebody as all of this is going on and with him not being aware of anything. So I grabbed all of my stuff I could grab, his stuff I can grab. Then we saw, I don't even know, like 5 or 6 police cars and one other vehicle, I don't know. But we're standing there and we're like, none of these are the ambulance. Like, what is going on? So yeah, everybody's outside. There were all these cars, police cars. And then finally the ambulance comes. And so they're like, okay, who wants to go? Like, whatever. Well, and they asked us. I guess apparently when Jacob was on the phone, they asked if he stopped breathing. And Jacob didn't know. I didn't know because we weren't holding him. And my mom was saying that she's certain that he didn't stop breathing. But they had the life flight or whatever it's called on call. Like, they were ready to go if we gave them the green light. My mom ended up coming into the ambulance truck. She was the one that was laying on the bed with Levi. And then Jacob ended up driving with my stepdad, following us so that I could sit in the ambulance with my mom. And I was sitting in front of Levi's vision so that he didn't panic looking at everything else, and that he had me to look at and to comfort him. On the way to the hospital, he was fine. He started waking up even more. His eyes were still there, but it was so crazy because he was not grabbing anything. He was not acknowledging anything. He was still looking around like, what the hell is going on? And so, like, I had a stuffed animal or I had a toy or something, and he wouldn't grab it. He wouldn't anything. Like, he wouldn't hold my hand. He wouldn't high five, fist bump, whatever he normally does. But they called the hospital to say that, hey, we're almost there. And they told them, can you start an IV? Because we might need it. The paramedic was actually irritated with this only because they know that we're only 2 minutes away at this time. So to start an IV on an 18-month-old is not the easiest thing when you're in a moving vehicle. She tried, but we weren't able to get it, which is fine because once we got there, they told us, oh, it's fine, we didn't need an IV. So we were a little bit aggravated because of the miscommunication and the back, like nobody knew, it seemed, what they wanted. So we get there and they tell us that it could just be a one-time thing. It could be because they tested him for strep, and they were telling us that because he had strep caused his fever, and his like instant spike in fever or instant spike in temperature is what caused and induced the seizure. I had nothing to do with being outside in the sun all day. It had nothing to do with anything. The instant increase of temperature is what caused the seizure. So we asked, what do we do if it happens again? And they said that in most cases it won't happen again. It's a one-time thing. If it does, either just go to your pediatrician's office and they might schedule an EEG exam, or if it's even worse and he stops breathing, go to the emergency room again. After a little while of being there, we were there for about an hour or two, which isn't that bad. I can't remember. I think it was an hour or two. It was so crazy that night. But we finally got Levi. They gave him a shot of something to help with his temperature. They gave him a shot of something or medicine of some sort. But we kept him on a prescription that would keep down his fever so that it wouldn't go up again. And we had to constantly give it to him. If it was only one that lasted for 6 hours, every 6 hours you give him another dose. Even if he doesn't have a temperature, even if whatever, it's just so that it's regulating his temperature. When we got home, we scheduled a checkup with his pediatricians, and they tested him for strep again, and they checked his throat, and they said that there was no sign of him having strep. And in a lot of cases where there's no sign of cause for a seizure like this, especially the febrile seizure, they might have just given us a answer just to shut us up and push us out the door. And I was like, why would they do that? Especially in this case, like, you don't do that. But apparently they don't even think he had strep, so we don't know where it came from that time. But anyways, they said, like the doctors at the hospital said, if it happens again, come back to us. If it's worse, go to the ER. Now, fast forward to September 1st. I'm sitting at home because it was one of the days where I was already out of class and I was getting my homework done. I get a call from my babysitter and she is panicking. Levi had a seizure again. Thank God she has experienced what it's like for a kid to have a seizure. So she knew what to do, how to handle it, so she wasn't panicking. I went to her house and picked him up, and he was shaking. He again was still waking up from it, didn't want anything to do with anybody. He had no idea what was going on. So I called his pediatrician, and then we went in for an appointment, I think 10 minutes later. They tested him. We don't know what it is. It could be a disorder, because some kids, it might just be a phase that he's going through that kind of not enhances his chances, but it could just be something to where at his age it's more common for seizures to happen. Me personally, I've never seen anybody have a seizure, let alone a 1-year-old, 2 times. And so I was like terrified because one, I did not know it would have happened again so quickly, and two, like I didn't want to think that it would have happened again. And so I think I was more scared of the unknown. This has, like, being a mom, it was so scary, and you just want to hold them, but like you can't fix anything. So we scheduled for the 5th of October, we scheduled an EEG exam, which is where they, I don't know what they're called, but they scan the brain for activity that might show any red flags of him having a disorder or anything out of the blue. And so they put, I think it was 26 or 27 things on his head, on his scalp, and then they wrapped it up and tested him. Well, I am so lucky that I was able to be in there with him for that, because I know I kept looking it up and Googling, which is not good. But I was looking up that if you're pregnant, you cannot be there for the scan or for the test, whatever. So I had my mom come with me. It was so comfortable being in the room. The nurse was so nice. It ended up just being not what I thought what it was going to be like, but it was, I literally sat in a lazy boy holding Levi. She put all the tape on him and then wrapped it up because she didn't want him snagging him and messing it up. And she was able to put on a movie for Levi, which he was like calm. Like he was just doing it, like didn't cry at all. It lasted, I think, 45 minutes. Once all of the tapes were on and I don't know the word for them. Once everything was on to record his brain activity, that's when it started the 45 minutes of review and just recording what's going on. So it didn't last too long, and she said that she didn't notice anything, not anything to let us know, oh, hey, I noticed this, just to let you know. So she had to send it to her doctor for him to review it himself, and then it would be sent to our pediatricians. I called them to schedule his flu shot, and so we did that the other day, but also I asked them if they've heard anything about the results from the EEG scan. And they said that they do have the results, but the doctor still has to review them. And I was just kind of frustrated because I was expecting a phone call from them within days afterwards, because that's what we were told. But I didn't hear anything. And so that day, that day of my phone call in, they called back and said, okay, so the results have been analyzed, reviewed, whatever. And there's nothing showing that he's got a seizure disorder. And so to me, it might sound bad. Like I said, I've never experienced this kind of thing in my life. And so as scary as it is, and so unaware and unknown of everything, I was kind of hoping that something would show up so that I know that there's a reason for something. There's something that we can learn about, look into, but there was no results, and there was nothing that said why he had his seizures. And so to me, obviously I don't want him to have another seizure, but with him not having anything to show why he had his seizures, I get that it's because of the spike in temperature, but that causes such panic for me every time that Levi's sick, every time that he has a cold. If he's like teething, I don't know if he still teethes at this age. I don't know. Do you teeth at 2 years old? Teething? Do 2-year-olds teeth? I don't know. But literally, every time he gets any sort of temperature or like sickness or whatever, I'm in panic mode, and I feel like I should just constantly keep him on like a routine medicine. Like, it's so scary, but it's just something I'm not comfortable with. Like, it's not that I haven't accepted it, it's just having something like this happen and there's no answer to why it happened. I'm always worried. Like, I don't know what happens if he's sleeping. Like, I won't be there. I mean, he's in his bed, and when he has a seizure, he doesn't know what's going on. And so, like, when his eyes roll back and when they finally wake up, I was told that's because they have no idea what happened. So it takes them quite a while to really, like, get back to knowing, like, oh, this is my mom, this is my dad, this is, like, they don't know where they're at and who's around them when they wake up from a seizure. I don't know what it's like for Levi when he wakes up from it. And if he's sleeping and we're sleeping, how am I supposed to hear if he's having a seizure or not? Like, things like that scare me to death, and it's so scary. I don't know if anything I did during my pregnancy with him caused this. I don't know what causes seizures, but I don't know. I guess I can just take it day at a time. But it's just, I don't know. I've never had anybody around me or like my family ever have seizures, so I don't know how to handle it, even if it's just me, even though it's happened twice. If I'm home alone with him, I will panic, and I don't like the feeling of it. I don't know. But anyways, I just felt I would share this with you guys because if any of you guys have any idea or are familiar with this type of thing happening, please let me know, because I am so at loss of words for this and what's been happening that I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody really about it except my family. But I just figured it's one of those things that it's so new to me, and it's so, I don't know the word for it. So if you guys know anything, please let me know what you've experienced, how you've experienced it. I don't know, like, just share with me your stories so that I have some sort of comfort, I guess, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I figured it'd be nice to put this out there so you guys know that he's fine. And I don't want you guys thinking that he's not okay. He is okay. He's fine. He's a normal boy. It's just he's had things happen that I never expected were to happen. But I just wanted to let you guys know because I've been updating you guys a lot on everything else, and I realized that I never mentioned this at all. So I just want to throw this out there for you guys and share with you my feelings about this and whatever else. I don't know. But yeah, so that's his story and what's going on with him. I don't know if it's done, if it's just the beginning. But yeah, this is just what we've been dealing with lately, the past few months, since June, early June. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this one. As awkward or uncomfortable as it is, this is just me sharing my feelings about what happened and what's going on. So yeah, I'm like a young mom that has no idea what to do. I never expected this kind of thing would happen. I never knew about these things that happen. So it opens my eyes, but I don't know. It's sad, but it's not a bad thing. It's not horrible. It's not gonna kill him. It's not, I don't know. It's just scary. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna end this there.